You're upset, something didn't go your way. Maybe you're overwhelmed, maybe you're exhausted, maybe you're just not okay. And then someone says it. Just stay positive. Everything happens for a reason. Look on the bright side, and suddenly, you don't feel better, you feel worse. But you don't say anything, because technically, they're trying to help, right? This is the psychology of toxic positivity. And here's the part nobody talks about. Positivity isn't always positive. Sometimes, it's avoidance. Let's start with something simple. Why does forced positivity feel so uncomfortable? Because emotions don't work like switches. You can't just turn off sadness and turn on happiness. Your brain doesn't process emotions by replacing them. It processes them by feeling them. When something difficult happens, your mind and body need time to register it, to understand it, to integrate it. But toxic positivity interrupts that process. It sends a very specific message. This feeling is not allowed. Not directly, but subtly. When someone says, just be positive, what your brain hears is, don't feel what you're feeling, and that creates tension. Because now you're not just dealing with the original emotion. You're also dealing with the pressure to hide it. Now here's where it gets deeper. Toxic positivity isn't always coming from other people. Sometimes, it's internal. You might tell yourself, I shouldn't feel this way. Other people have it worse. I need to stay strong. And on the surface, that sounds like resilience. But psychologically, it's suppression. And suppression doesn't remove emotions. It stores them, and stored emotions don't disappear. They resurface later, often stronger, often more confusing. Now let's talk about why people use toxic positivity in the first place. Because it's not usually intentional. Most people aren't trying to dismiss your feelings. They're trying to fix them, and that comes from discomfort. Seeing someone else in pain activates empathy. But empathy can be uncomfortable, so the brain looks for a quick solution. And positivity is the fastest tool available. It sounds helpful. It sounds encouraging. But in reality, it skips an important step, acknowledgement. Because before a feeling can change, it needs to be recognized. Now here's something interesting. Toxic positivity often comes from a misunderstanding of what strength actually is. We tend to associate strength with being unaffected, with staying calm, with not breaking. But real psychological strength isn't about avoiding difficult emotions. It's about being able to experience them without being overwhelmed by them. There's a big difference. Avoidance looks like control, but it's actually fragility. Because the moment something breaks through, it hits harder. Now let's look at how toxic positivity shows up in everyday life. Someone loses something important. At least it happened for a reason. Someone is struggling mentally. Just think positive. Someone expresses frustration. It could be worse. And each of these responses has the same effect. They minimize the emotional experience, not intentionally, but effectively. Because instead of feeling understood, the person feels dismissed. Now here's where it becomes a real problem. When toxic positivity becomes a habit, it changes how you relate to your own emotions. You stop trusting them. You start filtering them, only allowing the acceptable ones through. Happiness, gratitude, optimism, and rejecting everything else. But emotions don't work like that. They're part of a system. And when you block one part of the system, the entire system becomes less stable. This is why people who constantly suppress negative emotions often experience emotional burnout. Because it takes energy to pretend you're okay when you're not. Now here's the paradox. The more you try to force positivity, the harder it becomes to actually feel it. Because real positivity isn't created by ignoring reality. It's created by processing it, understanding it, moving through it, not around it. Now let's talk about the difference between healthy positivity and toxic positivity. Healthy positivity sounds like this. This is hard, but I believe things can improve. Toxic positivity sounds like this. This isn't hard, just stay positive. See the difference? One acknowledges reality. The other denies it. And that difference changes everything. Because when reality is acknowledged, your brain feels safe. When it's denied, your brain feels conflicted. Now here's something most people don't realize. Allowing yourself to feel negative emotions doesn't make you negative. It makes you emotionally accurate. And emotional accuracy is what allows regulation. If you can name what you feel, you can understand it. If you can understand it, you can move through it. But if you skip that step, you stay stuck. Now imagine this. Instead of saying just stay positive, someone says, that makes sense. I'd feel the same way. Nothing is fixed. The situation hasn't changed. but something inside you shifts because you feel seen. And feeling seen reduces emotional intensity. That's how regulation works. Not through denial, but through recognition. So if you've ever felt uncomfortable around forced positivity, there's a reason for it. Your brain isn't rejecting positivity. It's rejecting invalidation. And if you've ever told yourself to just be positive when you weren't okay, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you've learned that certain emotions aren't safe to express. But here's the truth. Every emotion has a function. Even the uncomfortable ones. Sadness helps you process loss. Anger signals boundaries. Anxiety prepares you for uncertainty. They're not problems to eliminate. They're signals to understand. So the next time you feel something difficult, instead of rushing to replace it, pause and ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Because sometimes the most positive thing you can do is not forcing yourself to feel better, but allowing yourself to feel honestly. And from that place, real change becomes possible. On Psychtrum, we explore the hidden psychological patterns shaping how you think, feel, and behave. And in the next video, we'll break down another subtle mindset trap: why constantly trying to be productive can actually make you feel more empty. I'll see you there.